Beneath the dense, multi-layered architecture of the Amazon canopy, every organism, whether predator or prey, is forced to evolve hypersensitive biological sensory networks. To secure a kill, an apex predator cannot rely on brute force alone. It must systematically shut down its target's warning systems before striking. This is Sombra. Driven by a dominant mutation in the MC1R gene, his hypermelanistic coat absorbs almost the entire visible light spectrum. In this fractured light environment, it is the ultimate optical weapon, concealing his movements until the final strike. The predator's greatest enemy is its own pulse. Sombra locks his muscles into an isometric freeze, starving his lungs of oxygen to suppress the slightest biological tremor. This excruciating stillness exploits a blind spot in the deer's visual cortex, which only registers motion, one involuntary breath, and he starves. A lightning-fast strike. Sombra's jaw locks onto the Pantanal deer's neck with a crushing maximum pressure of 1,500 pounds per square inches. Everything happens in a fraction of a second. The immense pressure immediately compresses the spinal cord, shutting down the target's entire central nervous system. Not a single struggle. In the intricate architecture of the Amazon, the fundamental law of the food chain is absolute. Energy cannot be created, only transferred. Sombra begins his survival meal. The Pantanal deer provides a pristine yield of high-density proteins and essential lipids. For the exhausted jaguar, this premium biological fuel is quietly consumed, replenishing his depleted caloric reserves with optimal efficiency. Having consumed the exact share required for his metabolic needs, Sombra calmly withdraws, leaving the remainder bathed in the canopy sunlight. But the forest operates on a strict zero-waste policy. The abandoned biomass immediately oxidizes, broadcasting a volatile chemical beacon that summons the diurnal cleanup crew, necrophagous flies, scarab beetles, and specialized leafcutter ants. As daylight surrenders to dusk, the ecological shift changes hands. The lingering scent of decomposition draws opportunistic neotropical bats. Guided by high-frequency echolocation, they pinpoint this biological hotspot, meticulously extracting the final remnants of soft tissue under the cover of darkness. The Amazon's dismantling engine never sleeps. The next dawn reveals the ultimate ecological truth. Only a pristine white skeleton remains cradled among the fallen leaves. Stripped of all organic matter, the bones will now slowly leach calcium and phosphorus directly into the root systems. The predator's hunt has just seamlessly funded the next generation of the rainforest's vast botanical empire. Breaking through the dense canopy, the Amazonian airspace opens into a vast, majestic expanse. Dominating this open atmospheric realm is the harpy eagle, gliding effortlessly on ascending thermal currents above a boundless green ocean. It employs hyper-acute binocular vision. From this soaring altitude, it processes visual data at astonishing speeds, penetrating the foliage below to detect the slightest biological tremor. The target is a three-toed sloth, suspended in the branches. Against a predator capable of striking at 80 kilometers per hour, fleeing is mathematically impossible. Instead, the sloth relies on a masterpiece of passive survival mechanism. As the eagle initiates its dive, the sloth instantly turns to stone. This absolute stillness completely deceives the aerial assassin, whose eyes are hardwired to track only motion. The shadow of death sweeps violently past, rustling the leaves, but the lethal talons grasp nothing but air. The sloth's specialized hair shafts harbor a symbiotic green algae. By adopting the exact photosynthetic signature of the surrounding canopy, it fundamentally blends its silhouette into the background, severely disrupting the eagle's visual tracking systems. If the canopy is a kingdom of absolute vision, the ground below harbors a blinding boundary. Sombra's terrestrial dominance ends at the water's edge. He is forced to step into a flooded labyrinth of tangled roots. Here, decaying leaves release heavy tannins, dyeing the stream into a dense, highly acidic liquid known as the black water. In this environment, visibility is completely erased. To patrol his territory, Sombra must cross the flooded basin. Yet, for the apex feline, this descent reveals an uncharacteristic hesitation. Stepping into the black water completely rewrites the rules of physics. Deprived of solid ground, Sombra loses the mechanical fulcrum required for his fast-twitch muscles. His supreme terrestrial agility is instantly neutralized by hydrodynamic resistance. Not only is his physical agility neutralized, but his senses are also blinded. Submerged in this optical void, Sombra must navigate in absolute darkness. In these blinding depths, the jaguar's desperate splashing has awakened a submerged leviathan. The king of the jungle has unwittingly trespassed into the domain of an aquatic titan. The jaguar, Sombra, relies entirely on his whiskers to map the microcurrents. Every stroke forward drains a massive amount of calories. The black water is no longer just a territorial boundary. It has become an exhausting, sensory-depriving trap. The silence shatters. A colossal green anaconda launches a blind strike from the abyss. Instantly, Sombra is trapped in a hydrodynamic vice. The serpent coils, applying an immense, crushing pressure. But Sombra is an apex engine. Despite the severe underwater disadvantage, his fast-twitch muscles detonate, violently resisting the deadly embrace. Seizing a microscopic gap in the coil, Sombra violently propels himself upwards. He breaches the black surface, gasping for life-saving air. Simultaneously realizing the lethal risk, the anaconda completely unwinds and melts back into the murky depths. No pursuit. This is a death trap for both. The metabolic cost is catastrophic. For Sombra, oxygen is rapidly running out. Yet, for the anaconda, swallowing a thrashing apex predator guarantees a fatal internal rupture. In the unforgiving logic of the wild, letting go is not a surrender, it is the most brilliant strategy for survival. The Amazon is not ruled by those who fight every battle, but by those who know when to walk away. Just as the harpy eagle aborted its aerial strike on the hidden sloth to conserve energy, Sombra now leaves the black water. He chooses life over a deadly gamble. Evolution does not forge reckless warriors. It rewards calculating survivors. In this unforgiving jungle, knowing the exact moment to abandon a risk is never a defeat. It is the ultimate evolutionary masterpiece, a profound biological wisdom to retreat today so the king can live to rule tomorrow. Dawn breaks over the African savannah, a sprawling theater of survival. Here, the brutal dry season dictates the rhythm of life. The heat is unforgiving, and the earth is baked to bone. They move as one entity, instinctively drawn to the delicate dew hidden within the grass. The absolute rulers of this realm are utilizing the morning chill to draw heat away from their massive, muscular frames. Every breath of the lion pride is deep and steady. By dropping their heart rate and slowing their metabolism, they minimize water loss under the impending African sun. The lions simply rest, actively repairing fast-twitch muscle fibers to recharge for the explosive hunt ahead. Known for a solitary and volatile nature, the rhinoceros mother is a formidable force. But the rhinoceros calf is a fragile prize in a land of opportunists. The survival of the rhinoceros mother relies on more than just bulk and fearsome horns. With notoriously poor eyesight, the world of the rhinoceros mother is constantly mapped by an incredibly acute sense of hearing and smell. A faint, dangerous scent has just drifted across the savannah. Unaware of the lethal predator closing in, the rhinoceros mother and the rhinoceros calf continue to graze peacefully. This false security is the perfect biological weapon for an ambush. By suddenly standing tall, the lioness deploys a kinetic visual signal, a silent, postural command synchronizing the lion pride for a coordinated tactical strike. The lioness and the lion pride advance. Specialized paw pads absorb acoustic frequencies, turning each step into a masterclass of predatory biomechanics. The lion pride is actively shrinking the kill zone, in absolute, deadly silence. The massive ears of the rhinoceros mother swivel like radar dishes. The acoustic warning finally registers the thunder of approaching paws. The lioness utilizes a hyper-flexible spine as a biological spring, maximizing stride length to rapidly close the gap. Fueled by anaerobic respiration, the lion pride accelerates to top speed, initiating a direct, high-velocity pursuit toward the rhinoceros mother and the rhinoceros calf. The acute senses of the rhinoceros mother sharpen drastically. The smell of dust, sweat, and incoming death hits the olfactory receptors of the rhinoceros mother in high definition. Following a commanding roar, the lion pride converges on the prey, a highly coordinated biological strike force, ready to execute a fatal takedown on the sun-baked plains. The lion pride attempts a mechanical takedown. Retractable claws anchor into the thick dermal armor of the rhinoceros mother. The primary predatory objective is to sever the spinal cord or collapse the trachea, but the immense cellular density of the rhinoceros mother actively resists structural penetration. The rhinoceros mother weaponizes a 2-ton biological mass. Generating massive kinetic force, the rhinoceros mother deploys a solid keratin horn as a lethal defensive ram. Simultaneously, the rhinoceros mother actively positions her frame to form an impenetrable biological shield, effectively isolating the rhinoceros calf from the strike zone of the lion pride. Predatory risk assessment shifts abruptly. A single skeletal fracture inflicted by the rhinoceros mother equates to inevitable starvation for the lion pride. The caloric cost now exceeds the biological reward. Executing a tactical withdrawal, the lion pride aborts the assault protocol. The African savanna reclaims its equilibrium. Acute adrenaline levels within the bloodstream of the rhinoceros mother and the rhinoceros calf begin to degrade. As the solar radiation fades into dusk, dropping ambient temperatures allow the rhinoceros mother to efficiently dissipate combat-generated body heat. Biological survival is secured. Sikhote Alin, the Russian Far East. Here, the northern taiga collides with subarctic frost. Temperatures plummet to -40 degrees Celsius. Winter in this mountain range is not merely a season, it is a metabolic crucible. To survive, every organism must ruthlessly optimize its thermal economy. The snow layer is both an executioner and an insulating shield. Sikote Alin, a deep freeze where survival dictates a radical biological response. The reindeer engineered to withstand the thermal drain. Their coat is composed of hollow hair shafts, trapping air to create an absolute vacuum of insulation. The muskox adheres strictly to Bergmann's rule, a massive body with a low surface area to volume ratio to minimize heat loss. The white wolf, the apex tactical predator of the tundra, operating as a singular superorganism. Weighing a ton, the bison uses hypertrophied cervical vertebrae to bulldoze through the snowpack. To conquer the thermodynamic nightmare of Sikote Alin, motion itself must be redefined. Navigating this frozen void, the reindeer herd relies entirely on flawless biomechanical engineering. Upon impact, their crescent hooves splay outward, instantly functioning as biological snowshoes. Beneath the skin, a network of elastic tendons acts as kinetic springs, absorbing and firing energy with every stride. It is a masterclass in locomotive efficiency, propelling them across the deep powder with near-zero caloric leakage. The atmospheric pressure plummets. A katabatic storm sweeps across the taiga, driving the wind chill down to a lethal -50 degrees. Visibility drops to absolute zero. The thermodynamic tax on every living organism instantly doubles. In Sikote Alin, life is not a right. It is a strictly audited equation of caloric reserves, metabolic output, and the merciless laws of thermal equilibrium. When the metabolic fires finally extinguish, biology unconditionally surrenders to physics. The fallen become nothing more than frozen carbon structures, their residual energy slowly reabsorbed by the indifferent mountain. Into the teeth of the blizzard, the Wapiti herd presses forward. To combat the lethal wind resistance, they adopt a strict aerodynamic drafting formation. Yet, amidst the blinding whiteout, the remaining fauna anchor themselves against the vortex, pushing their metabolic engines to the absolute brink in a defiant standoff against the ice. A subtle shift in the air currents introduces a heavy, carnivorous vector. The prey do not need to see the predator. Their olfactory receptors have already confirmed the arrival of an inescapable apex threat. The localized ecosystem has detected a massive, 300-pound anomaly moving flawlessly through the powder. The katabatic winds show no mercy, but the Amur tiger remains anchored. At rest, her massive muscular furnace operates in idle mode. She is burning through critical lipid reserves for one purpose only: to maintain a core basal temperature of 38 degrees Celsius against the -50-degree onslaught. But this thermal shielding comes at a catastrophic metabolic cost. A tiger of this magnitude requires a massive caloric intake just to sustain its engine. Inaction is not a strategy. It is a countdown to starvation. The blizzard hasn't trapped her, it has forced her hand. Preparing for a zero-visibility kinetic strike requires complex sensory recalibration. The tiger's vibrissae, the highly sensitive facial whiskers, act as a tactile radar, detecting microscopic shifts in air pressure. She is actively filtering the chaotic frequency of the storm, isolating the faint, low-frequency acoustic signatures of struggling prey. Through the localized whiteout, a secondary predator navigates the thermodynamic wasteland, the Eurasian wolf. It moves at a deliberate, low-output trot to minimize caloric burn. Its paws, functioning as thermal insulators, barely compress the powder. The wolf is operating on a severe energetic deficit. Every step without a kill pushes it closer to metabolic failure. That is, until a sudden shift in the biting crosswind delivers a faint, isolated chemical signature to its olfactory receptors. The warm, metallic scent of freshly spilled blood. Suddenly, its forward momentum ceases. The olfactory bulb, packed with millions of receptors, has intercepted a microscopic vector, a thermal signature hidden within the drift. The Arctic hare. As the wolf slowly positions its mass for a downward kinetic strike, it falls into neurobiological tunnel vision. The predator's auditory cortex locks exclusively onto the faint, rhythmic respiration of the hare. But this absolute fixation creates a fatal blind spot. In its meticulous effort to shift its weight, the wolf fractures a hidden layer of subterranean ice. A sharp, macroscopic acoustic snap shatters the silence. The wolf, consumed entirely by its subterranean ambush, is completely oblivious to the shifting hierarchy. It does not realize that its status has just been violently downgraded, from apex hunter to target. Relying entirely on cryptic coloration, the hare's pelage blends seamlessly into the snowpack. The wolf lowers its center of gravity, shifting into a stealth approach. Beneath the relentless, driving snowfall, the stage is set for a brutal and inevitable confrontation over those critical, life-sustaining calories. Relying entirely on cryptic coloration, the hare's pelage blends seamlessly into the snowpack. The wolf lowers its center of gravity, shifting into a stealth approach. Stealth is abandoned. Driven by a critical caloric deficit, the wolf shifts to brute mechanical excavation. Its forelimbs act as biological shovels, displacing compacted snow at a frantic rate. This anaerobic exertion demands a massive surge of oxygen, elevating its heart rate to maximum capacity. In its desperate bid to unearth the prey, the predator becomes completely blinded to anything outside its immediate kinetic objective. From the periphery, the Amur tiger silently processes the chaos. The tiger is the absolute embodiment of thermal and kinetic efficiency. While the wolf rapidly depletes its finite energy reserves, the tiger remains anchored. The tiger's binocular vision calculates the exact interception geometry. The tiger is no longer tracking a microscopic scent. The tiger is actively locking onto an exhausted, high-value target that has effectively trapped itself. The taiga snowpack becomes an arena of intense biomechanical contrast. Driven to the brink of metabolic failure, the Eurasian wolf abandons all caution. The wolf utilizes its forelimbs as biological excavators, violently burning through its final anaerobic reserves to breach the subniveum layer. This singular kinetic obsession causes a complete cognitive collapse, blinding the wolf to its macro environment. The structural integrity of the subniveum refuge finally fails. The Arctic hare is forcefully ejected to the surface. The breach immediately triggers a fight-or-flight endocrine response, flooding its cardiovascular system with adrenaline. Its hind legs, densely packed with fast-twitch muscle fibers, execute an explosive kinetic launch accelerating to 60 kilometers per hour in seconds. The localized ecosystem violently erupts into a multi-tiered thermodynamic chase. As the wolf tears into its fresh kill, its body redirects all energy inward. Blood rushes away from its senses to fuel digestion, locking the predator into a temporary state of oblivion. Blinded by the meal and deafened by the crunch of bone, the wolf has no idea its victory has just created its greatest vulnerability. But the taiga grants no reprieves. The Amur tiger closes the distance. Moving 300 kilograms of raw power in absolute silence is a masterpiece of evolution. With perfect precision, the tiger places its hind paws exactly into the tracks of its front paws, erasing its own acoustic footprint. The stealth phase abruptly ends. The Amur tiger erupts from the snow, unleashing a terrifying kinetic assault. Accelerating to over 50 kilometers per hour in mere seconds, 300 kilograms of muscle and bone become a living missile. The wolf, completely caught off guard by its own meal, has zero time to react. This is not a chase, it is an execution of raw physics. The impact is devastating, but the Eurasian wolf is a resilient survivor, instinctively fighting back with desperate ferocity. However, the biomechanical mismatch is absolute. The tiger's massive forelimbs, armed with retractable claws, grapple and lock the prey, neutralizing the wolf's mobility. Every thrash of the wolf is met with an overwhelming counterforce. In the brutal mathematics of the taiga, willpower cannot overcome a 3-to-1 weight advantage. The climax of the struggle arrives. The tiger's jaws, capable of generating over 1,000 pounds of bite force, finally lock onto their target. A precision strike to the cervical vertebrae severs the spinal cord, inducing immediate paralysis. The desperate struggle ceases. As the snow dust settles, the Amur tiger reclaims its ultimate prize, not just a meal, but its undisputed title as the apex lord of the mountain. Ravens, the ultimate opportunists of the taiga, sound their requiem. Their echoing cries are not mourning the dead. They are an acoustic broadcast, signaling a newly available caloric surplus to the rest of the flock. As solar radiation fades, the lethal temperatures of Sikota Alin plummet once more. But tonight, the monarch of the snow breathes easily. In this brutal equation of energy and ice, equilibrium has been violently restored. Within this dense, tangled microclimate, smaller species do not merely hide, they integrate. Utilizing rapid thermoregulation and acute seismic sensitivity, they turn the interlocking root systems into an advanced early warning grid. Driven by intense resource competition, species have evolved specialized morphological weaponry from reinforced armor plating to high-impact kinetic appendages. Every physical clash is a calculated gamble of the victor claims the ultimate ecological prize, exclusive access to caloric reserves and reproductive rights. In this harsh coastal fortress, conflict is the crucible that forces evolution forward. Beyond the relentless salt winds, the dense interior of the coastal scrub forms an impenetrable biological shield. Here, the interlocking canopy creates a stable microclimate, protecting life from the scorching ultraviolet radiation. Survival here is not always a physical clash. It is a masterclass in energy conservation. Daily behavioral rhythms are strictly dictated by the shifting temperature gradients. Deep within the scrub, a sounder of wild boars engages in intensive soil bioturbation. Their highly modified snouts act as powerful biomechanical plows, guided by an olfactory cortex capable of detecting subterranean caloric reserves. Intently focused on foraging, they are completely unaware that their body heat has just exposed their exact location to a hidden predator. A tiger relies on its natural camouflage. Its vertical stripes blend perfectly with the shadows of the palm leaves, making a 200-kilogram predator completely invisible. Wild boars possess an exceptional sense of smell, often surpassing that of dogs. To counter this, the tiger continuously monitors the airflow, moving strictly upwind so its scent is blown in the opposite direction. A tiger's paw is a masterpiece of sound suppression. Thick fat pads absorb the entire weight of its body, while a specialized ligament system keeps the claws fully retracted, ensuring absolute silence. Nature is unpredictable. A sudden micro-shift in the coastal wind alters the airflow. Instantly, the tiger's chemical signature is carried directly into the boar's highly sensitive snouts. The boar's olfactory receptors process the predator's scent in milliseconds. A massive adrenaline dump floods their system. Forced to react, the tiger abandons stealth. Its fast twitch muscles fire simultaneously, releasing the stored elastic energy to launch 200 kilograms forward. The kinetic chase officially begins. The ambush explodes into a high-speed pursuit. Propelled by massive muscle contractions, the 200-kilogram predator accelerates to 60 kilometers per hour in seconds. But this is a biological ticking clock. It must secure the kill before lactic acid paralyzes its legs. But an apex predator is built to bypass chaos. The tiger's visual cortex instantly filters the distractions, locking onto a single, slightly slower individual. The death sentence is signed. Every ounce of kinetic energy is now laser-focused on this one prey. The violent transaction is complete. The rest of the herd survives another day, leaving the weakest behind. For the tiger, this blood-soaked victory provides a massive influx of calories, fueling its reign over the unforgiving coastal scrub. Driven by deep-rooted instincts, the apex predator seeks the sanctuary of the dense scrub. It claims a hidden refuge, a quiet space where the lingering scent of the hunt can safely dissolve into the evening breeze. In the pitch-black canopy, a marvel of evolution illuminates the dark. Under this gentle glow, the sovereign of the scrub quietly watches over the sleeping forest. Antarctica, a continent isolated by the unforgiving circumpolar current, holding 70% of Earth's fresh water within a frozen desert. Here, the cryosphere dictates all biological rhythms. During winter, the sea ice expands to cover an area larger than the continent itself, effectively doubling Earth's reflective surface. This extreme albedo effect plummets temperatures drastically, while the rapid cooling of high-altitude air generates relentless katabatic winds that sculpt the frozen topography. Yet, this freezing and dynamic matrix is far from a dead zone. Nutrient-rich upwellings driven by the ice mechanics fuel a massive hidden marine ecosystem beneath the surface. Piercing the ice canopy reveals a subglacial realm where the physical rules of survival are entirely rewritten. Here, the ocean remains liquid at sub-zero temperatures, stabilized by extreme salinity and crushing hydrostatic pressure. In this twilight zone, the base of the food web operates entirely suspended in the water column. Vast clouds of drifting microorganisms are systematically harvested by highly efficient filter-feeding swarms, instantly converting primary biomass into dense, mobile protein. To inhabit this freezing abyss, the residents have evolved biochemical miracles. Many predators circulate antifreeze glycoproteins within their bloodstream, preventing the crystallization of cellular fluids while operating at a radically reduced metabolic pace. This subglacial ocean operates not as a chaotic battleground, but as a synchronized ecological network. There is no wasted motion, ensuring absolute efficiency in a resource-limited habitat. Beneath the static, frozen shell of Antarctica, a finely tuned biological engine quietly sustains the perpetual cycle of life. Vision loses its power in these dark depths. Survival now depends on an extraordinary sensitivity to water movement. Both predators and prey feel the faintest vibrations, reading invisible waves to pinpoint each other in the pitch black. On the ice, the colony acts as a single thermoregulatory unit. Tightly huddling minimizes their surface area, creating a microclimate to resist extreme heat loss. But their high metabolic rates demand constant refueling. Leaping into the freezing ocean to hunt, the penguins transform instantly. Water pressure compresses their feathers, shifting their biomechanics, turning clumsy walkers into streamlined, high-speed marine predators in pursuit of prey. Plunging into the deep triggers an extreme biological response. Their heart rate plummets from 200 to just 20 beats per minute, heavily conserving internal oxygen for a prolonged hunt. Capture is instantaneous. Backward-facing barbs inside their beaks secure the struggling catch. They consume the biomass mid-swim, maintaining a flawless hydrodynamic profile to seamlessly continue the assault. Above the waterline, there is no biological refuge. Relentless katabatic winds strip heat instantly from any exposed tissue, enforcing a brutal thermodynamic rule. In Antarctica, the surface is never a sanctuary. It is only a brief necessity. In the shadows of the ice, a completely different biological machine awaits. The seal utilizes countershading, a dark dorsal profile that renders it virtually invisible against the deep abyss. It does not rely solely on sight. Highly innervated vibrissae on its snout detect the exact hydrodynamic wakes left by the swimming penguins, tracking their spatial signatures in the water. Positioned below, it exploits the bird's visual blind spots. Locking onto their trajectory, the predator converts its massive mass into kinetic energy, executing a sudden lethal vertical strike. The pursuit ignites. The seal propels its massive frame forward, overcoming immense water resistance through raw muscular output. In open water, its top speed rivals the penguins, turning the ocean into a high-speed ballistic corridor. But the penguin holds a critical biomechanical advantage, a superior turning radius. Possessing lower mass and inertia, the bird executes hairpin maneuvers. It uses its stiff tail and flippers as hydrodynamic rudders to abruptly alter its vector. The seal's greater mass becomes a physical liability in sharp turns. However, it compensates with sheer acceleration. This relentless chase pushes both animals into anaerobic respiration. Lactic acid floods their muscles as they burn through their finite oxygen reserves. This is a contest defined by fractions of a second. Survival is no longer just about speed, but about outlasting the predator's physiological limits. In this evolutionary arms race, every micro-adjustment determines who survives and who fuels the ecosystem. The high-speed pursuit is abruptly shattered by a tectonic shift in water pressure. Low-frequency infrasound vibrations capable of traveling hundreds of kilometers reverberates through the seal's skeletal structure. Something colossal is ascending from the abyssal zone. The blue whale, the largest biological mass ever to exist on Earth. While its anatomy dictates a strict diet of krill, not seals, its sheer scale turns the ocean into a hazardous vortex. It has arrived to exploit the exact same nutrient-dense swarms that drew the smaller predators here. Executing a massive kinematic lunge, the Leviathan unhinges its jaws. Its ventral pleats expand exponentially, engulfing up to 90 tons of water and biomass in mere seconds. The seal is instantly caught, not targeted as prey, but trapped as collateral damage within this catastrophic hydrostatic vacuum. Battling a hydrodynamic pull equivalent to a violent undertow, the seal must abort its own hunt, pushing its anaerobic threshold to the absolute limit. It uses maximum muscular torque to propel itself out of the engulfment zone, escaping just milliseconds before the dense baleen plates clamp shut. The predator becomes the fugitive. In the hyper-competitive waters of the Southern Ocean, survival is dictated not only by speed and agility, but by navigating the indifferent, overwhelming mechanics of the ocean's true titans. The light fades, and the polar night reclaims the ice. Above, a frozen, absolute silence. But below, the biological pulse never stops. In the deep dark of Antarctica, the brutal ballet of survival dances on. The African savanna is a vast, semi-arid biome defined by the brutal thermal dynamics of the dry season. Here, primary productivity dictates the survival of the entire trophic cascade. At the apex of this food web, a biological clock is ticking. After a gestation period of roughly 110 days, this female lion, Panthera leo, must temporarily sever ties with her pride. Isolation is a crucial evolutionary strategy to protect her vulnerable offspring from infanticide and opportunistic predators. Before parturition, elevated levels of prolactin and oxytocin induce active nesting behavior. The expulsion phase yields a litter of altricial cubs, highly vulnerable neonates born immobile and with minimal metabolic reserves. The statistical reality of the savanna is unforgiving. Biologically, up to 80% of these cubs will not survive their first year. For the lioness and her offspring, continuous tactile stimulation serves vital physiological functions. Beyond oxytocin-mediated maternal bonding, the mother's rhythmic grooming provides mechanical friction that directly stimulates the cub's underdeveloped digestive and excretory systems. The cub's playful interactions are far from trivial. They are complex neuromuscular simulations. Through mock ambushes, they actively forge the synaptic pathways required for future apex predation. Meanwhile, the lioness maintains a hyper-vigilant perimeter, constantly analyzing chemical cues in the wind to intercept potential threats from rival carnivores. Beyond the protective brush, the savanna opens into a vast biochemical factory. The dominant flora here utilizes C4 photosynthesis, a highly efficient metabolic pathway evolved to maximize carbon fixation while minimizing water loss under intense ultraviolet radiation. This relentless engine of primary production forms the structural foundation of the entire biome. This convergence of nutrient-dense forage and accessible water generates one of the highest mammalian carrying capacities on Earth. For a lioness managing a severe caloric deficit, this hyper-abundant ecosystem is a calculated arena of thermodynamics. The savanna continuously generates the biological fuel. She must now deploy her biomechanics to extract it. Utilizing the dense riparian vegetation for optical camouflage, the lioness calculates her attack vector. Padded digits absorb acoustic vibrations, allowing for near-silent locomotion. The prey the lioness has chosen is a megaherbivore, Hippopotamus amphibius. A brutal isometric struggle ensues. The lioness launches, sinking retractable claws into the hippo's thick epidermis to anchor herself, attempting a precision strike at the carotid artery. For several tense moments, the lioness leverages her entire body mass in a desperate bid to exhaust the megaherbivore. With a sudden explosive torque of its massive cervical muscles, the hippo violently breaks the stalemate. Utilizing its 1,800 pounds per square inches bite force to physically overpower and reject the apex predator. These hydrodynamic disturbances are immediately intercepted by Crocodilus niloticus, the Nile crocodile. Embedded along the reptile's jawline are specialized integumentary sense organs, ISOs, capable of detecting microscopic shifts in water pressure. Calculating the exact vector of the mammalian distress signals, the ectothermic predator initiates its stealth protocol, utilizing bradycardia to drastically lower its heart rate. Propelled by massive axial musculature, The crocodile initiates a kinetic ambush, deploying a 5,000 pounds per square inches bite force designed to execute a fatal hydrodynamic death roll. Fueled by a sudden epinephrine surge, the lioness detonates her remaining fast-twitch muscle fibers for a lateral evasion, breaching the bank but incurring a devastating metabolic cost and severe lactic acid buildup. Microtears in her musculoskeletal system and severe lactic acidosis heavily compromise the lioness's biomechanics, but the thermal currents The Alaskan Peninsula, a subarctic wilderness shaped by relentless katabatic winds. Here, gale-force gusts sweep across the frozen tundra, driving chill factors down to -35 degrees Celsius. On these coastal fringes, survival is reduced to raw thermodynamics. Sub-zero katabatic winds strip away all warmth, turning ambient moisture into airborne ice needles at -35 degrees. Yet, across this frozen hell, a sole survivor moves an Alaskan red fox. This devoted father is on a critical mission. Facing an uncompromising metabolic drain in sub-zero winds, providing enough high-protein lipids to maintain their core body temperature of 38 degrees is a matter of life and death. Every movement now carries the weight of a father's devotion. His whiskers harbor specialized tactile receptors, while an advanced olfactory system cuts through the storm, detecting the faint chemical signals of rodents buried beneath a meter of packed snow. But in a frozen wasteland where failure means starvation for his kits, smell alone isn't enough. Large, parabolic ears rotate independently to capture low-frequency acoustic vibrations. He is calculating the exact trajectory of a prey he cannot see, for the lives waiting in the den. Through a subniven snow pocket, the faint rustle of a tundra vole triggers the fox father's auditory system. Standing completely still, the father aligns his body along a northeast magnetic vector. The precise orientation where magnetic field mapping maximizes hunting accuracy to over 70%. Deep within a snow pocket, a tundra vole emerges, a vital primary consumer in the Arctic food web, converting sparse plant matter into high-energy fat. Detecting the subtle movement, the fox father enters a state of hyper-cautious stalking. Every muscle freezes. Any premature impulse would collapse the delicate snow crust and alert the prey. Tension mounts. The fox father creeps forward with extreme care, his furred paws treading silently on the snow crust. Tilting his head, his parabolic ears lock onto the sound while his brain maps it against Earth's magnetic grid. One wrong step will ruin the hunt and starve his family. The strike. Aligning with magnetic north for maximum precision, the father leaps in a steep parabolic arc.
driving his forelegs through the snow, his neuromuscular response, under 50 milliseconds, neutralizes the prey instantly. With no time to waste under the skin-cutting gale, he grips the catch and races back to avoid heat loss and coastal predators. Inside the haven, a brief sanctuary. The mother and kits consume the prey, converting calories into warmth and milk. No rest for the father. Leaving them safe, he steps back into the blizzard to continue the hunt. An apex rival, a solitary gray wolf, uses the roaring gale as acoustic cover, masking its footsteps right above the den entrance. Driven by winter starvation, it frantically claws through the frozen crust, intent on excavating the helpless kits beneath. Maternal aggression triggers a surge of adrenaline. Standing between the intruder and her kits, the mother fox bares her sharp teeth. Narrow subterranean tunnels level the playing field, preventing the larger predator from leveraging its massive size.
Biting with blinding speed, the mother inflicts precise facial wounds on the wolf. In tight quarters, a fox's agility turns the narrow entry into a deadly hazard for an overextended invader.
The wolf has lost the battle. In this unforgiving wilderness, wasting precious energy on a futile fight means risking death by starvation. Humiliated and exhausted by the unyielding defense, the beaten predator slinks away, swallowed by the blinding blizzard.
Whiteout conditions engulf the tundra as a wall of ice-laden wind erases all visibility. Through this roaring white chaos, the fox father locks his sight on a flock of Arctic sparrows, hyper-alert targets, where a single, split-second error means returning empty-handed. Hunting small avian prey requires a radically different kinetic strategy. Unlike subterranean rodents, these sparrows alter their flight vectors in fractions of a second. To counter their fast wing beats, the father uses the howling wind as acoustic camouflage to close the distance. Bursting into a low-slung sprint, the father tracks their chaotic flight paths. Every muscle contracts like a compressed spring as his brain calculates their erratic mid-air trajectory. In a lightning leap, he intercepts the prey mid-flight, securing vital protein for his waiting family. Clutching his small prey, the fox father pushes through the raging snowstorm toward home. But in this unforgiving wilderness, a successful hunter instantly becomes prey. Soaring through the whiteout, a golden eagle, an apex avian predator with an 8-foot wingspan, locks onto the fox. It isn't after the bird in his jaws, it seeks the fox itself, a prize capable of sustaining it for days. Diving at speeds exceeding 150 miles per hour, the eagle transforms into a living missile. Its talons can exert a crushing force of over 400 pounds per square inch, enough to crush spinal columns instantly. Sensing the sudden drop in air pressure, the fox father's acute auditory receptors trigger a split-second evasion reflex, twisting his body to force a high-speed miss. Grounded by the blizzard, the eagle shifts tactics, using its massive wings and lethal talons to trap the fox on the open snow. But the father refuses to yield. Dropping low to protect his neck, he counters with agile lateral evasions, staying within the eagle's visual blind spot to neutralize its crushing strike capability. of attrition. For the eagle, sustained combat in sub-zero winds drains critical body energy, making the risk of wing damage far too high. Realizing the fox's unyielding defense offers no quick kill, the giant raptor abandons the assault, taking flight to seek easier quarry in the freezing vastness. Exhausted and battered, but alive. Still holding tight to his hard-won catch, the father slips into the subterranean warmth of the den. Against all odds, he has survived the storm, the wolf, and the sky. Tonight, his family will feast, saved by the unbroken spirit of a father. Deep beneath the frozen tundra, heat and scent intertwine in a moment of pure reunion. The kits crowd around their father, while the mother softly nuzzles his weathered fur. Outside, the Arctic gale continues to howl, but here, within the earth, love and instinct have once again outlasted the cold. Tomorrow, the sunless wilderness will demand new sacrifices. But tonight, the fragile flame of life burns bright against the dark. As the earth shifts its axis, the Serengeti sheds the heavy cloak of night. Dawn here is not merely a sunrise. It is a biological trigger. The sudden spike in thermal radiation resets the survival clock of millions. For the grazers, the first light offers a fleeting illusion of safety. But in this 3-million-year-old theater, visibility is a double-edged sword. Driven by an ancient biological imperative, an expectant female severs her ties with the safety of the mass. The first contractions have begun. Every ancient instinct now focuses on the imminent birth, preparing her body for the most vulnerable moment on the savannah. Yet, giving birth alone is the savannah's ultimate gamble. The rush of amniotic fluid releases a potent chemical beacon, drifting miles downwind. The delivery is complete, but the physical transition is still underway. The newborn foal remains partially encased in the amniotic sac. This translucent membrane, which provided vital protection inside the womb, must now be shed. The mother acts instinctively to assist her offspring. She focuses directly on the tissue surrounding the foal's head. By licking and gently nipping at the membrane, she uncovers the face, ensuring the foal can comfortably take its first full breaths of air. The foal's instinctive drive to stand serves a vital biomechanical function here. As it extends its long legs and pushes upward, gravity and the weight of the fluid-soaked tissue work together with the foal's movement. This combined mechanical tension stretches and breaks the membrane, systematically peeling it completely away from the coat and freeing the hind legs for mobility. The first touch is gentle, yet driven by absolute urgency. By meticulously cleaning her foal, the mother isn't just showing affection, she is actively erasing the scent of birth, a vital countermeasure against predators that map this landscape by smell. Within minutes of taking its first breath, the foal faces its greatest test. It must conquer gravity. Its legs are disproportionately long, nearly adult-sized. This is not an accident of nature. It's an evolutionary masterpiece, engineered for immediate flight. As they nuzzle, an invisible, lifelong bond is forged. She deliberately stands between her foal and the rest of the world, In these quiet seconds, the newborn's brain takes a mental photograph, memorizing the unique barcode of its mother's stripes. The foal's initial steps are unsteady, but it adapts with remarkable speed. Zebras are a precocial species, born with a highly developed nervous system. Continuous walking forces blood into the foal's long legs, rapidly reinforcing the muscle coordination required to run. The mother dictates the pace, continuously assessing her foal's stamina. She is deliberately navigating her offspring out of the dense brush, taking the first calculated steps toward reuniting with the protective numbers of the herd. The shift in the wind carries the scent of the newborn foal across the savannah. A pride of lionesses intercepts this chemical signal. Their olfactory system is highly specialized, allowing them to determine the exact direction and approximate distance of their potential prey without visual confirmation. To close the distance undetected, the lionesses rely on physical adaptation. Their tawny coats blend seamlessly with the dry grass. They move in a coordinated formation, spreading out to flank the mother and her single foal. Soft, thick pads on the bottom of their paws absorb the impact of their weight, enabling them to navigate the dry terrain in near silence. The pride's strategy is dictated by their biology. Lions possess limited stamina for long pursuits, requiring them to minimize the distance before initiating a sprint. They collectively target the young foal, analyzing its unsteady movements and lack of top speed, identifying it as the highest probability target. The mother zebra continues to monitor her surroundings, but the lead lioness initiates the strike. Utilizing the massive fast-twitch muscle fibers in her hindquarters, she accelerates from a standstill to 60 kilometers per hour in just 3 seconds. The zebra's sensitive ears catch the sound instantly. Panic ripples through the herd like a shockwave, and they immediately scatter in terror. But this frontal assault is a calculated trap. By triggering the stampede, the lioness is purposely herding the panicked zebras straight toward the rest of the pride waiting in ambush. In this blinding dust and chaos, the young foal has only one lifeline. It must perfectly copy its mother's every move, or be left behind. At top speed, the fleeing herd deploys its greatest natural defense, a visual illusion. As dozens of zebras sprint and weave together, their black and white stripes merge into a dizzying blur. This phenomenon, known as motion dazzle, makes it incredibly difficult for a chasing lion to judge speed, distance, or single out one individual. The choking dust of the dry savannah only deepens the predator's confusion. The pursuit forces the herd to the edge of a fast-flowing river. They are trapped between the approaching lions and the turbulent water. Driven by the immediate threat on land, the zebras make a calculated behavioral choice. Plunging into the treacherous current presents a statistically higher chance of survival. Entering the water instantly neutralizes their speed advantage. The dense current rapidly drains their stamina. Their hooves, evolved for traction on hard savanna soil, struggle to find stability on the slippery riverbed. The mass movement creates a bottleneck, pushing the animals deeper into the channel. This massive aquatic disturbance alerts a completely different apex predator. Nile crocodiles utilize specialized sensory receptors along their jaws to detect low-frequency vibrations in the water. They can pinpoint the exact location of the struggling zebras, moving in to intercept. Driven by sheer panic, they do not pause to defend themselves. They thrash violently, using their powerful muscles simply to break the water's resistance, their visual focus locked entirely on reaching the opposite bank. This reckless crossing is a brutal evolutionary calculation. By moving as a dense, chaotic mass at maximum physical exertion, they overwhelm the predator's ability to target effectively. Individual safety is temporarily sacrificed for the forward momentum of the group. Through pure physical endurance, the vast majority scramble up the bank, successfully escaping the aquatic threat. Safe on the opposite bank, the herd's collective heart rate begins to decelerate. The massive spike of adrenaline and cortisol required for the high-speed escape slowly dissipates from their bloodstreams. The river has acted as a ruthless evolutionary filter. Those remaining on this bank have successfully passed a rigorous test of physical endurance and spatial awareness. In the savannah ecosystem, peace is merely a temporary biological reset. Their sensory radars remain active, processing the wind for the next inevitable threat. Dawn on the savannah. Ambient temperature sits at 18 degrees Celsius. This is the optimal thermodynamic window for apex endurance hunters. The African wild dog, Lycaon pictus. Their oversized ears are not just acoustic radars, they are dense capillary networks functioning as thermoregulators, dissipating core heat during prolonged high-speed pursuits. Navigating the tall grass, the pack engages in active environmental processing. Their binocular vision and directional hearing overlap. Operating in this dispersed line, they create a synchronized sensory grid, detecting the slightest kinetic shift in the savannah. The yellow stalks provide effective camouflage for herbivores. In response, this wide frontal assault acts as a biological net, mechanically designed to flush concealed targets out of the brush. High-frequency twitters synchronize their positioning without alerting larger prey. The pack fundamentally alters its operational mode. High-speed pursuit parameters are deactivated. They lower their center of gravity, adopting a predatory crawl. They are now operating entirely in stealth. Their objective is elevated, a basalt outcrop, a natural geological stronghold that serves as a thermal sink during the night and a tactical fortress by day. Here, a troop of olive baboons, numbering over 40 individuals, has established their high-ground sanctuary. The early morning light initiates a critical neurochemical protocol within the baboon troop, allogrooming. This behavior transcends physical hygiene. The tactile stimulation triggers the release of endorphins and oxytocin, simultaneously lowering cortisol levels while solidifying their complex hierarchical alliances. A troop of this density presents a formidable defensive matrix. The adult males act as perimeter sentinels. Biologically equipped with canines measuring up to 5 centimeters exceeding those of a leopard, they represent a lethal, high-risk variable for any approaching predator. Even after the allow grooming protocol, the troop remains anchored to the basalt outcrop. This elevated topography provides a dual biological advantage: maximum solar exposure to rapidly elevate their core body temperature after the cold savanna night, and an unobstructed 360-degree visual sweep of the surrounding biome. Within this high-ground sanctuary, internal hierarchy dictates spatial positioning. The dominant alpha males occupy the outermost perimeters. Functioning as an early warning radar system, their binocular vision scans the yellow grass for kinetic anomalies. Their physical presence deters terrestrial threats from attempting a vertical assault. In the protected center, juveniles engage in high-energy mock combat. This is not merely play, it is a critical neurological simulation. They are developing the fast-twitch muscle fibers and spatial awareness required to survive future predator encounters. All while constant low-frequency vocalizations maintain an acoustic tether between the 40 individuals. For the baboons, every day is a biological war, caught between caloric starvation and the savanna's hidden threats. Every decision is a calculated risk. Here, one miscalculation means death. Below the outcrop, the wild dogs remain locked in their stealth formation. A direct upward charge against an alert baboon troop is biologically unviable. The canines are engaged in a game of thermodynamic patience, waiting for a single juvenile or subadult to miscalculate their spatial boundaries and step too close to the precipice. An underdeveloped threat perception overrides survival instincts. Driven by a caloric deficit, a naive juvenile steps outside the troop's safety zone, a fatal geometric error. The sensory trigger is pulled. The wild dogs instantly transition from stealth to maximum kinetic output, deploying a synchronized intercept trajectory. Through a suffocating high-speed encirclement, the juvenile is forced into a dead-end fractions of a second before the alpha males can unleash a counter-strike. In a desperate biomechanical reflex, the juvenile exploits the canine's anatomical limitation, a lack of arboreal adaptation. It ascends a solitary acacia, a temporary vertical refuge. From the high branches, the juvenile emits a high decibel distress frequency. This is not merely a cry of fear. It is a highly evolved acoustic beacon designed to pierce the savanna's ambient noise. It carries a specific biometric signature, triggering a hardwired neurochemical alarm within the troop. The acoustic signal triggers an instant adrenaline cascade. Abandoning all foraging protocols, the alpha males mobilize into an offensive phalanx. Driven to protect their genetic investment, a multi-ton wave of primate muscle and lethal canines surges toward the tree. The siege is shattered by sheer, overwhelming kinetic force. The collision is instantaneous. Driven by kin selection, the alpha males unleash a blunt force trauma assault. Wielding 5-centimeter canines, this multi-ton wave of primate muscle shatters the dog's siege protocol. It is an asymmetrical territorial defense, neutralizing the threat in seconds and safely retrieving the juvenile. Outweighed and outweaponized, the canine neurocircuitry abruptly switches from predatory aggression to absolute panic. In the ruthless economics of the savanna, a primate bite means septicemia and certain death. The pack dissolves into an uncoordinated retreat. But surviving the counterattack is only their first hurdle. As the adrenaline crash hits, a terrifying physiological reality sets in. They have expended a massive amount of metabolic energy for a zero-caloric return. Scattering into the dry grass, the pack's highly organized neural network devolves into a chaotic flight response. Hyperventilating and visibly panicked, the wild dogs are consumed by a profound behavioral trauma. The immediate terror of the primate's blunt force counterstrike quickly morphs into an existential dread. Their biological clock is now ticking exponentially faster. Prolonged starvation will inevitably compromise their immune systems and shatter their coordinated hunting matrix. This single disastrous ambush has pushed the terrified canines to the absolute brink of caloric bankruptcy. While the baboons stabilize their acoustic tether, the desperate dogs must keep moving, haunted by the savannah's ultimate apex equation: hunt successfully or perish. This is not a tactical withdrawal. It is a blind, adrenaline-fueled rout. Tails tucked and ears pinned flat, classic morphological markers of acute subordination. They scramble erratically over the abrasive terrain. The pack's collective mind has been hijacked by the reptilian brain, driven purely by a singular imperative: put maximum distance between themselves and the primate fury. Deep within the troop's concentric core, a maternal reunion occurs. The mother retrieves her juvenile. This intense tactile interaction allogrooming triggers a massive release of oxytocin, effectively degrading the residual cortisol from the morning's trauma. The troop's fractured social matrix is chemically and physically seamlessly repaired. As the solar angle diminishes, the savannah undergoes a rapid thermodynamic shift. The diurnal cycle draws to a close. For the Papio Anubis troop, this diminishing light signals an immediate behavioral transition, abandoning all foraging protocols to retreat into an elevated nocturnal fortress.
Along the Alaska-Canada border, the winter taiga is not just a frozen wasteland. It is a crystalline acoustic battlefield. At -40 degrees, extreme air density completely alters the physics of sound. The frozen snowpack functions as a massive sensory web. Every footfall generates seismic microvibrations that carry for miles. To hunt in this labyrinth, predators must master the science of structural dampening. But this absolute stealth carries an exorbitant metabolic cost. For the mother lynx, delivering a kitten into a subarctic winter is a biological paradox. The newborn lynx emerges encased in amniotic fluid, facing instant, lethal hypothermia in the frigid air. Securing her kitten in the thermal safety of the den, the mother lynx steps back into the frozen void to hunt for crucial calories.
Navigating the frozen taiga, the mother lynx shifts into active predation. Her stalk is a masterclass in biomechanical fluid dynamics. She is in constant motion, yet completely tethered to the silence of the forest. Despite her mass, she moves like a phantom. Her oversized, densely furred paws function as biological snowshoes, maximizing surface area to minimize ground pressure, preventing the fragile snow crust from fracturing beneath her weight. Safely tucked away in the den, her kitten waits. It relies strictly on the combustion of brown adipose tissue, a localized biological furnace that staves off lethal hypothermia without the need for shivering. High above the frozen canopy, an apex aerial assassin owns the night. The great horned owl utilizes serrated feather edges to slice through aerodynamic turbulence, effectively erasing all acoustic frequencies of its flight. It doesn't rely on vision alone. Asymmetrical ear cavities triangulate the faintest micro-vibrations on the forest floor, locking onto a target's exact coordinates with mathematical precision before the prey even registers a threat.
While the mother lynx is miles away, a fatal biological misstep occurs. The kitten breaches the den's insulating barrier. The target is locked. Folding its wings to enter a free-fall dive, the owl strikes like a phantom. 4 needle-sharp talons pierce with crushing force, snatching the kitten from the snow and effortlessly carrying it into the frozen sky, leaving behind a deadly silence. The owl's flight path intersects with the diurnal apex predator, the golden eagle. In this frozen wasteland, calories are so scarce that the eagle engages in kleptoparasitism, the deliberate theft of another hunter's kill. Spotting the target with ultra-high-resolution vision, the eagle folds its wings into a ballistic dive. The kitten survives completely unharmed. Meanwhile, the aerial dogfight reaches its inevitable conclusion. Superior in sheer mass and kinetic power, the golden eagle completely overpowers the owl, claiming absolute dominance over the frozen sky. Guided by faint olfactory cues, the mother lynx finally tracks down her kitten. The reunion triggers a powerful surge of oxytocin. Stress hormones vanish as they restore their thermal bond, proving that in the brutal taiga, a mother's warmth is the ultimate sanctuary. Beyond the taiga, glacial peaks reflect solar radiation back into the atmosphere, locking the ecosystem in a permanent thermodynamic freeze. Yet, life here doesn't just endure the frost, it synchronizes with it. In this frozen world, survival is the ultimate triumph of biological engineering, achieving perfect equilibrium with the absolute cold.
Stretching across the equator, this is not merely a landmass. It is a tectonic crucible, the original biological engine of planet Earth. Forged by extreme thermodynamic shifts, Africa sustains the greatest concentration of megafauna in existence. Here, every drop of water is fiercely contested. To survive this landscape is to master the ultimate evolutionary algorithm. Where the grass turns to dust, there are kings crowned not in gold, but in scarred horn. The Cape buffalo carries the ancient wrath of the earth, a looming shadow that simply refuses to bow. And across the silence, the golden ghosts of the savannah hold their breath. The lionesses do not merely stalk, they perform a silent, deadly waltz with the wind, melting into the mirage. This is no longer a hunt. It is a primal vendetta written in the dust. The air grows impossibly thick, waiting for a single heartbeat to shatter the peace. An unyielding wall of wrath, seemingly unbroken, but the golden ghosts know, even the mightiest fortress of flesh and bone harbors a fatal flaw. At the water's edge, a fragile life lowers its head, momentarily stepping out from the shadow of the fortress. For the golden ghosts, this innocence is not to be pitied. It is the perfect seam in the armor, the ultimate irresistible invitation. An agonizing, desperate cry shatters the tranquility of the plains. The ancient kings lift their crowned heads. The agony of one ignites the slumbering fury of the collective. Bound by an unbreakable covenant, the fortress charges. An avalanche of black muscle and scarred bone surges across the dust, bringing the earth-shattering wrath of the herd to rescue their own. Like black arrows loosed from the bow of the earth itself, thousands of scarred kings descend. This is the wrath of the collective, moving with terrifying, unstoppable singularity. In a solitary duel, the feline shadow is an unparalleled sovereign of death. But in the face of an endless ocean of horn and muscle, individual supremacy is utterly consumed. The Black Fortress closes its walls, crushing the golden ghosts beneath the sheer weight of numbers. To bleed in the wild is a sentence of slow death. Forced to weigh the heavy price of a meal against their own lives, the apex tacticians make a bitter choice. They relinquish their prize. Survival demands the surrender of pride. But the covenant of the herd demands retribution. The withdrawal of the enemy does not extinguish the flames. In a spectacular reversal of the natural order, the prey becomes the relentless punisher. The hunters are swept away by a tidal wave of vengeance. Stripped of their crown, the undisputed monarchs of the plains are forced into a humiliating exile, seeking refuge in the branches above. Below them, the sea of horns roars in absolute glorious triumph. The golden ghosts watch from their wooden exile. Their pride is severely bruised, but their lives remain intact. In the grand theater of the wild, Defeat is never a disgrace. It is simply the heavy toll of tomorrow. The dust of chaos settles into the earth. The kings will graze, the ghosts will hunt again, and the unforgiving, beautifully ruthless rhythm of Africa plays on. As the golden light pierces the acacia canopy, the savannah exhales the chill of the night. High above the dust, a vibrant arboreal society awakens. For the agile residents of this leafy kingdom, dawn is a time of intricate social bonding and relentless foraging. Protected by the dense labyrinth of branches, they believe themselves untouchable, but the canopy is a treacherous illusion of safety. By venturing to the exposed edge of the leaves, a single individual has just stepped onto nature's most unforgiving stage. Thousands of feet above, drifting silently on rising thermals, the true sovereign of the skies looks down, the martial eagle, a majestic titan of the air. It does not patrol, it reigns supreme. Endowed with vision multiple times more acute than a human's, its eyes act as biological telescopes. From the stratosphere, it isolates a single rustle of a leaf. The target is locked. The execution is calculated. Folding its massive wings, the eagle weaponizes gravity itself. It transforms from a soaring monarch into a biological missile, plummeting towards the canopy at terrifying terminal velocity. In a fraction of a second, the struggle ends. Lifted effortlessly into the abyss of the sky, the primate's fate is sealed. Down below, the canopy falls into a traumatized, deathly silence. But nature carries no malice. This violent execution is merely a biological transaction. High atop the world, the fallen monkey serves its ultimate ecological purpose, fueling the relentless growth of the next generation of kings. Beyond its raw power, the eagle remains one of evolution's most mysterious masterpieces. Its talons exert a crushing force capable of snapping bone instantly, an anatomical perfection refined over millions of years of predatory dominance. It asks no permission. It recognizes no borders. In the grand, unyielding tapestry of the savannah, the eagle stands as the ultimate arbiter of the skies, a majestic phantom, ruling the winds until the end of time. Kote Alin, the Russian Far East. Here, the northern taiga collides with subarctic frost. Temperatures plummet to -40 degrees Celsius. The African semi-desert, an ecosystem defined by extreme thermal amplitude. Surface temperatures can fluctuate by 40 degrees Celsius within a single diurnal cycle. The female ostrich has entered the pre-oviposition phase. As an obligate ground-nesting species, she must survey the terrain to locate a precise geographic depression, a communal scrape. The environmental selection criteria are mathematically strict. Optimal soil substrate for egg heat retention at night, and an unobstructed 360-degree field of vision. In a landscape patrolled by apex predators, a topographical miscalculation equals the eradication of a genetic generation. The scrape chosen by the female ostrich is optimal, but contested. A reptilian interloper, the African monitor lizard. The female ostrich initiates a threat display, expanding her wings to maximize visual volume. A biomechanical stalemate with the monitor lizard forces the female ostrich to concede the micro-territory. Driven by the physiological urgency of imminent oviposition, she recalculates her spatial map. The search perimeter must be expanded beyond the reptile's foraging radius. She requires a specific ecological matrix: coarse sand for drainage, sparse flora for early predator detection, and optimal solar exposure to passively incubate the clutch during diurnal foraging. Time is the ultimate limiting factor. Driven by relentless solar radiation and a severe deficit of atmospheric moisture, the African semi-desert operates as a thermodynamic furnace where only highly specialized biology can maintain physiological homeostasis. Bipedal locomotion allows the female ostrich to cover vast distances with minimal caloric expenditure. Her elastic tendons store and release kinetic energy with each stride, functioning as biological springs. The female ostrich instinctively avoids dense vegetation. Ambush predators, such as the African lion or leopard, rely on structural cover to close the critical kill distance. An open radius provides an essential optical early warning system. A potential site is identified: a natural depression characterized by coarse, well-draining quartz sand. This specific mineral composition absorbs solar radiation during the day, acting as a thermal battery for the clutch when nocturnal temperatures plummet. Sensory receptors in her metatarsals evaluate the substrate's density. By utilizing a bilateral sweeping motion, she modifies the microtopography. The resulting geometry is mathematically calculated to prevent a heavily calcified egg from rolling out of the central incubation zone. The architectural blueprint is complete. Her neurochemistry shifts, lowering cortisol levels as perceived environmental threats diminish. In this unforgiving, sun-scorched theater, the female ostrich has secured the ultimate stronghold for oviposition. Oviposition is complete. The female ostrich now guards a communal clutch. Each highly calcified egg weighs approximately 1.5 kilograms, representing a massive biological investment. Diurnal incubation is her exclusive responsibility. Her cryptic, earth-toned plumage acts as a thermal shield, actively intercepting solar radiation to prevent the embryos from exceeding their critical thermal limit of 39 degrees Celsius. After 42 days of thermodynamic incubation, a critical biological sequence initiates. The neonate utilizes a temporary egg tooth to fracture a 2 millimeter thick calcium carbonate fortress from within. Despite rapid growth, juvenile mortality approaches 90%. When terrestrial predators are detected, the chicks deploy a passive defense, collapsing to mimic arid scrubland, aided by their spiky, disruptive down. The female ostrich assumes dual roles as a biological shield and an early warning radar. By extending her wings, she creates a critical microclimate of shade, while her 2-inch ocular globes continuously compute visual threat data across the relentless semi-desert geometry. At 3 weeks post-hatching, the metabolic demands of the chicks skyrocket. They exhibit a staggering growth rate of 1 centimeter per day, driven by constant foraging. Equipped with the largest eyes of any terrestrial vertebrate, the female ostrich detects a subtle anomaly disrupting the thermal waves of the underbrush. An African monitor lizard. It navigates using advanced chemosensory data, continuously flicking a bifurcated tongue to extract the chick's olfactory signature via the Jacobson's organ. Its sprawling, low-slung posture nullifies seismic vibrations. An ectothermic stalking protocol. It evades visual detection, calculating precise kinetic variables before the strike. As solar radiation ceases, the semi-desert's rapid radiational cooling triggers a thermodynamic crisis for the neonates, transforming into an insulating canopy to counteract lethal hypothermia. The female transfers core heat, while her auditory cortex remains hypervigilant for nocturnal predators. The monitor lizard computes the metabolic cost of a physical confrontation against a hyper-vigilant adult. The reptile aborts the ambush, prioritizing energy conservation over caloric gain. But the visual and olfactory signatures of the chicks have attracted mammalian predators, African wild dogs. They operate on complex pack dynamics, utilizing coordinated endurance running to exploit vulnerabilities in defensive perimeters, while an African wildcat opportunistically utilizes peripheral camouflage to stalk the brood amid this sensory distraction. The female ostrich counters with lethal biomechanics. Her forward bipedal strikes act as kinetic battering rams, capable of shattering a canine's ribcage. Calculating the high mortality risk, the pack scatters. Maximizing her wingspan, the female simulates an overwhelming biological footprint. Confronted by this physical disparity, the feline retreats, securing the genetic lineage for another day. A sudden aerial threat intercepts. A martial eagle. Circling in the high-altitude thermals, a martial eagle computes a lethal aerodynamic trajectory. Plotting its strike, the apex raptor prepares to utilize gravitational acceleration in a high-velocity dive targeting the matriarch's vital cranial receptors. The monitor lizard returns, exploiting the previous mammalian distraction. Its ectothermic metabolism affords immense biological patience, waiting for a critical lapse in maternal vigilance. The female instantly counters. She deploys a series of precision bipedal strikes. The sheer kinetic impact overpowers the reptile's osteoderm armor, forcing a definitive retreat. To neutralize the final aerial adversary, the mother ostrich leverages her sheer biological mass. Rearing up to intercept the eagle, she deploys her dynamic wingspan to shatter its aerodynamic trajectory, defeating the ultimate threat through vertical superiority. The multi-tiered predatory assault fails. Sympathetic nervous systems downregulate. In this relentless kinetic furnace, the matriarch has engineered a rare, transient state of ecological equilibrium for her brood. Yet, this sanctuary is fleeting. Driven by unrelenting metabolic demands, the family must immediately resume their nomadic traverse across the unforgiving biome. In the unforgiving calculus of the African savannah, survival is never absolute. It is a continuous evolutionary tax. Until these precocial chicks reach full maturity, the matriarch remains their ultimate biological shield, marching forward into the endless war of attrition that defines this semi-desert biome.
Bathed in the light of dawn, the savannah stands as a thriving architectural marvel. Billions of grass blades intercept the early rays, forming a dense, structurally complex canopy. It is a highly efficient biological engine, transforming this optimal light into a sprawling, impenetrable terrestrial labyrinth. The inhabitants of the savannah drift in quiet harmony, foraging within an illusion of perfect peace. Yet, this lush abundance weaves a formidable wall. The interwoven blades create a veil that completely swallows the line of sight, For these gentle wanderers, survival is the quiet art of navigating blind spots, an ecosystem woven entirely from physical concealment.
Down at the soil, lush abundance weaves a formidable wall. The interwoven blades create a veil that completely swallows the line of sight. For those who dwell in the undergrowth, survival is the quiet art of navigating blind spots. This is an ecosystem woven entirely from physical concealment.
Yet, every illusion of concealment shatters when observed from above. Taking to the vertical axis, the avian hunter glides effortlessly over the terrestrial wall. Through complex acoustic frequencies, unseen avian residents synchronize their ecological rhythms, weaving an invisible auditory grid across the canopy. Others engage in meticulous preening, realigning the microstructures of their feathers to restore absolute aerodynamic perfection. From harvesting dewdrops to gleaning seeds, they seamlessly integrate into the labyrinth. Each feathered silhouette finds its precise ecological niche, composing a gentle, breathing poetry of the morning savannah. While most avian predators rule from the sky, an evolutionary anomaly stalks the terrestrial matrix: the secretary bird. Standing over 1.2 meters tall, it has forfeited sustained flight for supreme bipedal locomotion. Its elongated tarsometatarsal bones act as biological pendulums, allowing it to stride gracefully across the dry grass patches with maximum thermodynamic efficiency. In a habitat where height dictates survival, its towering stature is a strategic advantage. It is a mobile, biological watchtower. The predatory gaze is locked. It utilizes binocular vision to calculate distance and depth with absolute geometric precision. Piercing through the sun-bleached stalks, these eyes filter out optical noise, searching for the slightest morphological anomaly hiding in the dust. This ceaseless patrol is driven by a critical metabolic deficit. Miles away, a nest of altricial chicks demands a constant influx of calories. To fuel their rapid cellular division, the parent must cover up to 30 kilometers a day, systematically scanning every inch of this unforgiving terrain. Failure to extract biomass means the collapse of the next generation.
The visual matrix yields no confirmed signature. The target remains elusive, yet its biological weaponry stays primed. Unlike other raptors, the secretary bird does not rely on its beak. Its evolutionary specialty is blunt force trauma. Its heavily scaled legs store a lethal reserve of latent kinetic energy. If triggered, they can deliver a localized impact equal to 5 times its own body weight in just 15 milliseconds. But without a locked spatial coordinate, this devastating physical shockwave is withheld. The energy transfer is postponed. The metabolic pressure on the parent continues to mount. With no biomatter secured, the relentless stride resumes. In the vast concealing geometry of the savannah, the secretary bird must constantly bridge the gap between infinite patience and impending starvation. It remains an apex predator bound to the earth, continuing its relentless scan of the plains, one calculated step at a time. The savannah is an ocean of kinetic noise. The breeze constantly manipulates the grass, generating thousands of false visual triggers. To avoid striking at phantoms, the secretary bird employs an advanced neurological filter. By processing structural frequencies, it isolates the chaotic rhythm of the wind from the deliberate, localized friction of a biological entity. The neurological filter finally isolates the ultimate target, a venomous snake. The friction of scales against dry earth provides exact spatial coordinates, allowing the secretary bird to calibrate its lethal kinetic strike. This is not mere prey. It is a living syringe loaded with hemotoxic venom. Detecting the avian predator, the serpent abandons camouflage for a kinetic defense. It coils its muscular geometry into a biological spring, loading maximum potential energy. Elevating its cranial structure, it establishes a mathematically precise lethal strike radius. The savannah plunges into an absolute thermodynamic stalemate. The secretary bird breaches the lethal zone. It unfurls its wings not for flight, but as optical decoys to disrupt the snake's thermal and visual tracking. In this high-stakes biomechanical duel, the first to miscalculate the millisecond reaction threshold will be consumed. Instead of an immediate assault, the secretary bird engages in precise reflex manipulation. It performs micro-feints, shifting its weight and rhythmically bobbing its cranial structure to constantly recalibrate its depth perception. The avian predator is intentionally testing the serpent's trigger threshold, attempting to provoke a premature strike. For the serpent, maintaining this coiled geometry demands an immense expenditure of cellular energy. Locked at peak kinetic tension, lactic acid rapidly floods its muscular spring. Every agonizing second of delay actively degrades its thermodynamic reserves. The living weapon is slowly breaking down from within, crushed by the sheer physical toll of its own defensive posture. Every calculated step is designed to measure the exact striking arc of those venomous fangs. By forcing the snake to remain coiled at maximum tension, the bird slowly drains its opponent's thermodynamic reserves. It is dismantling the biological spring, one agonizing second at a time. The snake strikes at blinding speed, but the secretary bird's reflexes outpace physical acceleration. Its chaotic wing shield absorbs the snake's venomous bite into harmless feathers. The secretary bird's legs become biological pistons. A flurry of strikes delivers kinetic shocks 5 times its body weight, instantly overwhelming the serpent's sensory network. One final kinetic transfer. The secretary bird delivers a precise vertical stomp to suppress all movement. The physical shockwave shuts down the central nervous system. The biological syringe is permanently neutralized. The secretary bird takes flight, carrying her hard-won prize to a canopy fortress, a massive nest heavily guarded by a thorny acacia. Inside this secure ecological cradle, the once lethal serpent is repurposed into vital protein, fueling the rapid growth of the savannah's next generation of apex predators. The scent of fresh protein rarely goes unnoticed. A new chemical signature drifts across the savannah, instantly intercepted by the highly evolved olfactory bulb of a honey badger. Guided by scent gradients, the honey badger tracks the biomatter directly to the base of the acacia. The tree's formidable thorns are structurally designed to repel climbers, but the badger possesses an evolutionary countermeasure. The honey badger's skin is a dermal marvel up to 6 millimeters thick and exceptionally loose, a biological armor rendering this creature virtually impervious to botanical defenses. Fueled by an insatiable hunger, the badger refuses to stop. The canopy fortress is under assault by the savannah's most relentless biological tank. The canopy fortress is not unguarded. Detecting the intrusion, the mother secretary bird initiates a defensive dive, weaponizing gravity itself. Spreading her massive 2-meter wingspan, she maximizes her visual profile to intimidate the honey badger. The second thermodynamic duel of the day begins. The honey badger relies on its thick dermal armor, but the secretary bird counters with relentless kinetic bombardment. A barrage of bipedal kicks directly targets the badger's compromised center of gravity. Battered by continuous kinetic shockwaves, the badger is forced to yield. Calculating the unsustainable caloric deficit of this conflict, the savannah's fiercest brawler concedes. It retreats into the brush, its biological armor thoroughly tested by avian fury. The threat evaporates. The mother secretary bird stands victorious, erecting her cranial crest in a striking display of territorial dominance. She has fiercely protected her genetic investment. A terrestrial assassin and a devoted guardian, she remains the undisputed biomechanical apex of the plains. The savanna is not merely a landscape, it is a thermodynamic engine. Here, sunlight is the primary currency, driving a relentless biological economy. For apex predators, hunting is not an act of malice, but a strict calculation, waiting for the exact moment to seize that energy with minimal caloric waste. On these plains, herbivores act as living energy converters, guarded by a hypersensitive sensory network. As midday solar radiation peaks, the savanna's thermodynamics drastically shift. Optically, this arid matrix appears as a static, lifeless void, but this profound emptiness is a physical illusion. To survive, the flora utilizes microphyllae, minimizing leaf surface areas to halt transpiration and lock in cellular moisture. Navigating this arid matrix, herbivores optimize metabolic efficiency. Warthogs target underground tubers. These roots act as biological vaults, storing essential water and starch. Their cartilaginous snouts function as specialized excavators. A lioness's massive muscular frame generates lethal internal heat. By entering a state of deep metabolic conservation, she is actively supercharging her fast-twitch muscle fibers with glycogen. She is banking explosive kinetic energy, waiting for the thermal waves to dissipate and the perfect acoustic blind spot to open. Driven by the pressure of caloric intake, the warthog's biological radar is neutralized. The friction of excavating dry earth creates an auditory mask, perfectly concealing the approaching predator. The lioness utilizes retractable claws and specialized digital pads to absorb shock, effectively muting her footfalls across the brittle terrain. Relying on disruptive coloration to blend with the sun-bleached grass, she calculates the critical strike distance while navigating strictly downwind, ensuring her olfactory signature is blown away from the prey. The acoustic mask drops. Propelled by an explosive contraction of fast-twitch muscle fibers, the lioness accelerates to 80 kilometers per hour. The warthog's head snaps up, instantly flooding its visual cortex with the reality of the ambush. Panic triggers a massive adrenaline dump. The warthog flees with its tail erect, a biological flag coordinating the herd's chaotic dispersal. It employs erratic lateral evasion to shatter the feline's linear momentum. Igniting a spectacular high-speed pursuit, the warthog leverages evasive stamina, while the lion's ambush-engineered anatomy rapidly hits the anaerobic threshold, flooding her muscles with debilitating lactic acid. Plunging straight into a deep subterranean hole, the warthog completely removes itself from the surface battlefield. By retreating into the dark depths, it secures a definitive spatial advantage. The lioness aggressively reaches down the pit, but a feline's retractable claws are engineered for surface grappling, not heavy excavation. Safe in the depths, the warthog expands its ribcage, wedging its body against the earthen walls with immense isometric force. The lioness reaches blindly into the dark shaft, desperate to hook her prey. But the warthog has retreated deeper, moving well beyond the maximum extension of the feline's forelimbs. Her specialized claws swipe at empty dirt, completely failing to make contact. Confronted by this stark anatomical limit, the apex predator is rendered entirely powerless. Unable to extract a target she cannot even reach, she absorbs the metabolic loss and walks away, defeated by the sheer depth of the earth. Only when the surface vibrations fade does the warthog break its subterranean silence. A cautious snout emerges first, performing a rigorous olfactory sweep to definitively confirm the predator's scent has dissipated. Stepping back into the fading light, the animal undergoes a rapid physiological reset. The parasympathetic nervous system engages, flushing out residual cortisol and decelerating a heart rate that was just pushed to its absolute biological limits. As the golden hour washes over the arid scrub, the brush with death is simply swallowed by the dusk. The cycle resets, and another day is won in this perfectly balanced, ruthless matrix. The Masai Mara, an ancient sea of grass, bound by the unforgiving extremes of the dry season. Surface water evaporates, and usable plant biomass drops rapidly. Every organism here operates near its physiological limit. Survival under this equatorial sun demands strict thermoregulation. Energy is hoarded, movement is calculated. The waiting game begins. Scattered across this baked topography, vast assemblies of herbivores maintain a fragile stasis. They serve as the ecosystem's primary processors, extracting fractional nutrients from sun-bleached cellulose. Processing this abrasive diet requires highly specialized digestive fermentation. Every movement is economized to maximize nutrient extraction while minimizing moisture loss under the relentless sun. Exposed on the open grass, the African rock python relies on disruptive camouflage. As a heavy-bodied ambush predator, it conserves energy by not chasing. Specialized pit organs along its jaw detect the infrared radiation of warm-blooded herbivores, mapping the environment through heat signatures. Nearby, the savanna's apex predators adopt a different strategy. The lion pride enters a state of physiological dormancy, resting up to 20 hours a day to prevent hyperthermia. Mammalian cooling systems deplete internal moisture reserves. The pride must replenish fluids, converging on the ecosystem's remaining surface water. The aquatic environment provides thermal stability and camouflage for ectotherms. The African rock python uses water to mask its scent, leaving only its infrared sensing pits exposed. Utilizing fluid dynamics, the python advances without surface disturbance. Engrossed in hydration, the lioness experiences complete sensory masking. The ectotherm enters critical strike range, entirely undetected. The heat-sensing pits lock onto the lioness's thermal signature. Evaluating the target's biological mass, the python coils its musculature, priming for an explosive kinetic strike. The strike is instantaneous. Propelled by massive axial muscles, the python breaks the surface, utilizing rapid kinetic momentum to immediately envelop the feline's torso within heavy, prehensile coils. With every exhalation the lioness makes, the muscular coils tighten. Thoracic compression restricts lung expansion, rapidly depleting cellular oxygen and flooding her muscles with paralyzing lactic acid. Immobilized, the lioness triggers a final survival mechanism: acoustic distress signals. Low-frequency calls are broadcasted to summon the pride. The python maintains its lethal grip. Sensory scales track the lioness's fading heartbeat, pinpointing the exact moment of physiological collapse. The distress call instantly ignites the pride. Over a ton of combined apex muscle surges forward in a massive synchronized charge, shaking the ground as they rush to the riverbank. Reaching the riverbank, the lion pride launches a coordinated defense. The lions target the python's spine with extreme bite force, physically breaking its heavy muscular contraction. Facing the entire lion pride, the python risks a fatal severed spine. The biological cost becomes too high. Survival instinct overrides the hunt, forcing the snake to release its grip and retreat. The lethal grip is broken. As oxygen rushes back into the lioness's depleted muscles, she survives thanks to the savannah's ultimate evolutionary weapon, the unified power of the lion pride. As the golden hour bathes the savannah, order returns to the pride. In the soft twilight, they engage in gentle social grooming. This tactile exchange is more than affection. It releases calming endorphins, weaving the chemical bonds that make the pride an unbreakable unit. The punishing heat dissipates, replaced by cool evening thermals. Sprawled across the earth, the apex predators embrace the stillness, their bodies seamlessly blending into the fading colors of the landscape. A fleeting moment of savanna poetry, yet their sensory network remains sharp. As dusk falls, the pride rests, conserving energy for the night. Spanning across the equator lies a biological engine that has run uninterrupted for over 50 million years. Welcome to the tropical forest. Driven by constant equatorial temperatures, the rapid cycle of growth and decay transforms this ecosystem into the most productive biome on Earth. It is a theater of quiet prosperity. Apex predators emerge through the foliage, moving with biomechanical precision, where dense flora amplifies the slightest rustle. Each footstep is calculated to erase all acoustic signatures. Terrestrial herbivores emerge through the foliage, moving with biomechanical efficiency. In a biome where noise attracts danger, each footstep is carefully calculated to minimize acoustic signatures. Here, the predator and the hunted are locked in a continuous evolutionary arms race, acting as a biological regulator that maintains the complex rhythm of the jungle. In these tannin-rich aquatic arteries where optical visibility is rendered obsolete, aquatic organisms rely entirely on specialized mechanoreceptors to decode microscopic fluid displacements, mastering this turbid environment through a highly evolved hydroacoustic awareness. In these turbid depths, the red-bellied piranha operates as a specialized opportunistic predator. Evolved olfactory pits decode the water chemistry, isolating blood-borne amino acids at a mere 1 part per million. Their anatomy is a masterpiece of lethal biomechanics. Hypertrophied jaw muscles drive interlocking tricuspid teeth. This architecture generates bite forces 30 times their weight, applying catastrophic shear stress to sever tissue and bone in milliseconds. Biologically, their dense schooling acts as a defensive matrix. Yet, this formation harbors a latent, highly coordinated potential, constantly scanning the turbid water for acoustic or chemical anomalies. Moving as a synchronized superorganism, they process low-frequency hydrodynamic shifts. The swarm maintains absolute discipline, acting as a dormant strike force waiting for the precise environmental trigger. Even while simply patrolling, they assert their role as the river's ultimate biological regulators. Their continuous presence ensures ecosystem stability, a dormant engine prepared to process any organic biomass the currents may bring. To navigate these dense aquatic arteries, the school utilizes advanced fluid dynamics. By moving in a synchronized lattice, trailing individuals exploit the slipstream, minimizing hydrodynamic drag and conserving vital metabolic energy during extended patrols. Above the waterline, the riparian zone forms a critical ecotone, a biological frontier where terrestrial and aquatic biomes collide. Organisms here enter a state of calculated dormancy. They utilize solar radiation to optimize muscle enzyme efficiency, preloading their biomechanical systems for explosive kinetic output. Dominating this ecotone is the crocodile. Currently, it engages in ectothermic thermoregulation, utilizing highly vascularized osteoderms to absorb solar radiation. This process elevates its core metabolic rate, priming muscle enzymes for peak kinetic output. Submerging triggers a physiological lockdown. A cardiac shunt isolates oxygen solely for the brain, while precise lung compression achieves perfect neutral buoyancy. The crocodile vanishes into the strike zone. Gliding through the turbid water, the crocodile breaches a critical biological boundary. A microscopic epidermal tear releases a chemical signature of blood-borne amino acids, directly shattering the piranha's sensory threshold. The dormant piranha formation instantly weaponizes. Guided by hydrodynamic tracking, the fish bypass the crocodile's dense osteoderms, hyper-focusing their assault on unarmored vulnerabilities, the eyes, cloaca, and soft connective tissues. The piranha's assault is a relentless mechanical shredding process. Hundreds of hypertrophied jaws apply catastrophic shear stress to the crocodile, executing a high-speed rotational mechanism to systematically extract flesh in milliseconds. The crocodile's violent anaerobic thrashing induces rapid lactic acidosis. As its internal oxygen reserves completely collapse, the reptile is dismantled, ruthlessly processed by the piranhas. the river's ultimate biological incinerators. In a matter of minutes, the massive crocodilian is reduced to skeletal remnants. Its dense biomass is entirely assimilated into the piranha's metabolic network, a hyper-efficient transfer of organic energy. This violent dismantling is not an act of malice, but a critical ecological function. By processing the apex predator, the piranha swarm redistributes vital bionutrients back into the aquatic food web. The turbid waters return to a state of active tranquility. In this ruthless biome, survival is dictated by biomechanical perfection, where every end is simply the biological catalyst for a new beginning. Stretching along the eastern coast of Africa is Tanzania, a land dominated by the vast, sun-baked plains of the savannah. Beneath the relentless heat, life carries on in a quiet rhythm, creating a fragile illusion of absolute peace. The antelopes are already on the move, gliding effortlessly across the vast plains. Their journey is a picture of quiet grace. With slender frames shaped by nature, every leap is light and rhythmic, moving in perfect harmony with the pulse of the earth. Not far away, a vast procession moves gently across the plains. The wildebeest. The rumble of their hooves sounds like the heartbeat of the earth, an eternal, peaceful cycle. Flowing with relentless grace, these wild waters carve a deep rift across the earth, a line of destiny they cannot refuse. For beneath its mesmerizing flow, a deadly test quietly waits. Right in the river, the apex predator is already in position, a giant crocodile. It doesn't chase, it calculates. Hidden beneath the murky surface, it waits for one fatal mistake. It doesn't chase, it calculates. Hidden beneath the murky surface, it waits for one fatal mistake. Thousands of wildebeest and antelopes crowd the steep, muddy banks, driven by an ancient urge to migrate, yet paralyzed by the raw, violent power of the surging currents. Panic ripples through the ranks. But the raging water is only a distraction. Below the surface, an ancient syndicate has formed, a congregation of giant crocodiles. Cold-blooded and perfectly adapted, they conserve every ounce of energy. Camouflaged against the riverbed, they form a living minefield. The ultimate ambush is set. Tension reaches a breaking point. It only takes one pioneer to shatter the hesitation. Instantly, blind herd mentality takes over. Hundreds launch themselves into the treacherous currents, completely unaware that they are jumping straight into the jaws of death. It is a chaotic frenzy of flailing hooves and panicked cries. Biologically, their hollow hair provides natural buoyancy, a vital adaptation for river crossings. But buoyancy offers no defense against what waits below. The churning rapids mask the silent, deadly approach of the apex predators. For the herd, the only focus is the opposite bank, but every second fighting the current drains their stamina. Blinded by the splashing white water and deafened by the roar of the herd, their keen senses are rendered utterly useless. They are swimming blind, offering the perfect cover for a prehistoric strike. They fight desperately to survive, but in this unforgiving river, their sheer will to live is leading them straight into the jaws of death. And the giant crocodiles do not rush. They are masters of calculating energy. There is no turning back. propelled by the sheer weight of the endless herd behind them. Thousands pour into the river like a living waterfall of flesh and bone. The water becomes instantly choked with bodies in panic. It is a spectacle of mass desperation, and for the waiting prehistoric giants, this is no longer a hunt. It is a feast delivered right to their domain. The giant crocodiles let the river do the heavy lifting. The trap has been sprung. In this brutal theater of nature, not everyone will make it to the other side. Panic erupts. The illusion of safety shatters as the river reveals its true nature. Beneath the surface, the strike is clinical and devastating. Giant crocodiles target the slender legs of their prey. A calculated tactic to instantly disable mobility, dragging them into the suffocating depths. The river turns into a boiling cauldron of predator and prey. With jaws exerting tons of pressure, the crocodiles lock on. The antelopes fight with every ounce of their being, but in this aquatic arena, raw, evolutionary power favors the reptiles. While some fall, the vast majority push forward. With one last surge, they scramble up the banks, escaping the river of death. The onslaught is relentless. The giant crocodiles execute the notorious death roll, a brutal display of biomechanical perfection. The will to live can defy the odds. In the savage theater of the savannah, surviving today is the ultimate victory. The crossing is over for these fortunate few. They have run the gauntlet and cheated death with the heavy physical toll of survival. Safety is a temporary luxury. Here, on solid ground, the herd enters a crucial phase of recovery. Families reunite. Mothers gently nuzzle their calves, verifying their survival through scent and touch. There is no time to look back, no time to mourn the fallen. In the relentless rhythm of the savannah, grief is an anchor the hunted cannot afford to carry. There is a profound resilience in this stillness. For these animals, healing is not a medical process, but a silent act of endurance. They rest not to linger, but to prepare for the miles still ahead. Soon, the chaotic energy is replaced by the peaceful, rhythmic sound of grazing. Eating is more than sustenance. It is a grounding mechanism. Each bite of grass helps rebuild depleted energy reserves and restores the tranquil rhythm of the herd. There is a profound resilience in this stillness. For these animals, healing is not a medical process, but a silent act of endurance. They rest not to linger, but to prepare for the miles still ahead. Instinct commands them to keep moving. To fall behind the herd is to invite the deadly attention of land predators. Their sheer resilience is the true masterpiece of evolution. As the golden hour descends, the African sun casts a warm, forgiving light over this harsh landscape. As the golden hour descends, the African sun casts a warm, forgiving light over this harsh landscape. Today, the river exacted its toll, nourishing the apex reptiles lurking below, but the herd endures. The Great Migration continues, an eternal cycle of sacrifice and survival, marching ever forward into the fading light. The Serengeti, a vast golden crucible, operating at the very limits of biological endurance. As surface temperatures soar past 50 degrees Celsius, the moisture vanishes. The savannah enters a state of physiological dormancy. In this blinding theater of light, survival is no longer just a race against the hunter. It is a silent, masterful game of thermal economics. The dry season haunts the Serengeti. An endless plain of withered grass stretches to the horizon. The morning sun rises, revealing a cracked and thirsty earth. The herds must feed before the heat of the day sets in. The grass is dry and brittle. It offers almost no water, but hunger drives them. The morning calm is an illusion. They eat, but their senses are working in overdrive. Ears pivot independently, listening to the dry grass. Wide eyes scan the horizon. Out here, a single moment of distraction is fatal. On this scorched plain, there are no shadows to hide behind. A solitary hunter must melt into the barren earth itself. A leopard she hasn't eaten in days. Out here, the dry season strips away all margins for error. Her ribs press against her coat, but a starving predator is a focused one. Hunger sharpens every instinct. She navigates the shifting brush. Her spotted coat dissolves into the dry thicket. Perfect camouflage. Specialized pads on her paws absorb the sound of her own weight. She is reading the chemical trails left in the dust. The predator observes a dense cluster of healthy adults. Attacking such a tightly packed group carries a massive biomechanical risk. A single defensive kick from a mature animal possesses enough blunt force to shatter a leopard's rib. In this harsh environment, a fractured bone is a death sentence. The feline brain constantly calculates the probability of injury. Therefore, she abandons this approach and moves along the perimeter. She targets another flank of the grazing herd. Suddenly, the wind shifts. Scent molecules are carried forward, instantly compromising the predator's stealth advantage. Furthermore, the animals in this sector are highly alert, offering a poor probability of a successful kill. The thermal energy burned in a sprint must yield a guaranteed caloric return. Every hunt follows a ruthless biological equation of energy return on investment. The savannah is crowded with hundreds of moving animals. To overcome the visual confusion of the herd, the predator's visual cortex must filter the chaotic data. She scans the mass and isolates a single anomaly on the periphery, a slight hesitation in its gait, a momentary lapse in vigilance. Instantly, the autonomic nervous system takes over. Her heart rate drops to stabilize the core. Sustained muscular tension generates massive internal heat. Yet, the respiratory rate must be suppressed. A single pant broadcasts an acoustic warning. The predator operates on the borderline of physiological overheating and absolute stealth. Pupils dilate to maximize visual input. Muscle fibers tense, storing kinetic energy. The biological lock-on is complete. The physical gap must be closed. The leopard's skeleton is engineered for absolute stealth. Free-floating collarbones act as biological shock absorbers. They cushion the body's weight, preventing any vibration from reaching the ground. Every step is calculated to avoid a single sound. The predator slowly enters the critical ambush radius. The predator faces a formidable biological defense. The zebra herd operates as a unified sensory network. Laterally positioned eyes provide a near 360-degree field of vision. Dozens of ears constantly scan the acoustic environment. To approach, the leopard must navigate blind spots that barely exist. A micro shift in the air currents carries a foreign scent molecule. Alternatively, they detect the sudden, unnatural silence of local insects. The zebras cannot see the threat, but their nervous systems register the environmental anomaly. Muscle fibers twitch in anticipation. The leopard instantly freezes. The psychological standoff begins. The leopard breaches the flight initiation distance. Instantly, the zebra's endocrine systems release massive surges of adrenaline. Heart rates violently spike. The biological tension reaches a critical threshold. The predator must strike right now, before the herd's self-preservation instincts completely override their hesitation. The herd's sensory network detects an environmental anomaly. The zebras instantly freeze, entering a state of hypervigilance. Fleeing blindly without a directional vector is statistically lethal. It risks running directly into an ambush. Their sympathetic nervous systems are fully primed, yet they hold their ground. The predator is forced into absolute stillness. A psychological standoff begins. The ambush is triggered. The leopard's fast-twitch muscle fibers ignite, converting stored energy into lethal acceleration. The savannah erupts into absolute chaos. As the zebras flee, their overlapping stripes generate a phenomenon known as motion dazzle. This high-contrast optical illusion directly disrupts the feline's visual cortex. It destroys depth perception and makes isolating a single target incredibly difficult. The predator is forced to calculate her attack trajectory through a moving maze of flashing patterns. The leopard's fast-twitch muscle fibers ignite, converting stored glycogen into explosive kinetic energy. She accelerates to top speed in mere seconds. The hunt instantly shifts from absolute stealth to pure biomechanical power. zebras flee, their overlapping stripes generate a phenomenon known as motion dazzle. This high-contrast optical illusion directly disrupts the feline's visual cortex. The physical gap is closed. The leopard deploys her retractable claws, acting as biological grappling hooks to anchor onto the target's mass. She aims directly for the trachea, attempting to secure a rapid asphyxiation hold. For a fleeting microsecond, the apex predator dominates the kinetic exchange. But the prey refuses to succumb. A high-frequency distress vocalization pierces the air. This acoustic signal triggers an aggressive, altruistic response from the herd. Instead of scattering, the zebras pivot. They weaponize their sheer numbers, initiating a coordinated mobbing behavior to encircle the attacker. The power dynamic violently reverses. Equines possess massively dense hindquarters, capable of delivering blunt force trauma exceeding 1,000 pounds per square inch. A single connected kick can easily shatter a feline skull. The leopard's lightweight skeletal frame, evolved strictly for aerodynamic speed, is profoundly outmatched in a physical brawl. The savannah dictates a brutal equilibrium. There are no ultimate victors, only temporary survivors in an ongoing evolutionary arms race. Today, the herd's defensive matrix neutralized the feline's kinetic strike. For the leopard, the physiological countdown to starvation accelerates. For the zebras, the rhythmic cycle of the plains continues. A realm forged in fractured stone and suffocating ice. Welcome to the roof of the world. Up here, oxygen is a luxury, and the cold is a ruthless executioner. Yet, clinging to the edge of the abyss, a herd of mountain goats, phantoms of the high alpine, navigating a 60-degree death drop as if it were a casual stroll. But surviving the extremes is only half the battle. This young goat drinks a liquid lifeline. The mother's fat-rich milk acts as a metabolic furnace. For the mountain antelope, extreme altitude is their armor. They retreat to these treacherous ridges to escape the jaws of ground-dwelling predators. Safe above the tree line, they believe they are untouchable. Enter the golden eagle, an apex avian assassin with a 7-foot wingspan, riding the invisible thermal updrafts with effortless, terrifying precision. Forced to cross deep snow, the antelope's greatest defense, their speed, is instantly stripped away. They are vulnerable. High above the clouds, the winged Terminator locks onto her target. The ambush is set. As the snow retreats, the brutal mountain reveals a softer side. This highland valley transforms from a frozen wasteland into a fleeting oasis of life. The warming sun triggers an explosion of nutrient-dense vegetation across the slopes, a temporary feast served on a grand scale. What looks like idle rest is actually hard metabolic work. They ruminate, maximizing the nutrient extraction from every single blade of grass. Emerging from months of winter fasting, the brown bear is driven by a singular, overwhelming urge, hyperphagia, an insatiable, biological need to consume. The river, it is a vital artery of life, but also a fiercely contested arena. Here, strict hierarchies dictate survival. Catching them requires explosive acceleration. Despite weighing over 800 pounds, a grizzly can strike with astonishing liquid speed. Each bear employs a distinct strategy. Some stand like statues, instinctively calculating the optical refraction of the water to gauge the exact depth of their prey. Others rely on brute force, pinning the muscular, slippery fish directly to the riverbed. In times of abundance, the bears become selective gourmets. They prioritize the skin, brains, and roe the parts richest in essential fats. Sated, the titans retreat to the shores. The frantic urgency subsides, replaced by the heavy lethargy of digestion. Driven by an insatiable biological imperative, this apex predator patrols the treacherous alpine slopes. Every calorie burned climbing must be replaced with flesh. The mountain goats detect a disturbance in the landscape. A massive silhouette breaking the horizon. The ambush breaks, accelerating with terrifying speed. The mother mountain goat and her young kid are driven to the absolute edge. They retreat onto a fragile, overhanging branch. The grizzly bear brings 1,000 pounds of lethal force, but physics is the ultimate equalizer. As the immediate threat dissipates, adrenaline slowly gives way to exhaustion. Bathed in the golden glow of the alpine sunset, the mother mountain goat and her young kid reclaim their sanctuary. In this unforgiving vertical kingdom, life is a delicate, razor-thin balance, where one calculated step dictates who lives to see another dawn. For months, this fractured Earth has endured a state of suspended animation. This is not merely a change in weather, but as barometric pressure plummets, a volatile chemical signal rides the incoming winds. It is a violent continent-wide biological awakening. Down below, the larger herbivores anchor themselves against the blinding dust squalls. They do not flee. High in the canopy, intricate avian architecture faces its ultimate mechanical stress test. Then, the atmospheric dam breaks. Millions of gallons of water crash against the parched soil, instantly supercooling the savannah and washing away months of desperate endurance. Amidst the deluge, a quiet biological marvel unfolds. Transforming her feathers into a living, hydrophobic canopy, she does not merely block the rain. She radiates life-saving endothermic heat, turning her own fragile body into an absolute sanctuary. As the storm's initial fury softens into a steady, life-giving rhythm, the savannah's smallest residents emerge from their sanctuaries. The deluge is no longer a threat. It is an evolutionary spa. Embracing the sudden moisture, they engage in a meticulous, instinctual ritual. As the storm clouds fracture, the saturated earth responds with an explosive biological bloom. The savannah is instantly flush with invertebrate life. Driven by the insatiable metabolic demands of their growing chicks, the parents are locked in an exhausting cycle of aerial foraging. Every delivery of high-yield protein is a delicate calculation of energy spent versus energy gained. The African savannah, at the height of the dry season. It is not a barren wasteland, but a masterclass in ecological patience. Out here, energy is the ultimate currency. To endure the solar radiation, the grass eaters enter a waking meditation, actively down-regulating their metabolism. Lowering their metabolic rate, the hunted shift posture to deflect heat while their senses map the wind, a silent biological triumph. Lionesses initiate a calculated metabolic shutdown to regenerate fast-twitch muscle fibers, preserving maximum kinetic potential for the upcoming fierce hunts. This process demands 20 hours of deep rest to fuel their explosive anaerobic sprints. In the open plains, the female ostrich establishes a secure perimeter. She excavates the sun-baked surface to expose the cooler soil beneath. This is a strategically engineered microclimate, designed to buffer her nest against the savannah's extreme thermal shock. Anchored within this depression, she lays her eggs. Her massive body now serves as a biological heat shield, strictly regulating the temperature parameters required for embryo survival. Each egg is an evolutionary marvel. The dense calcium carbonate shell is structured with microscopic pores, facilitating embryonic respiration while sealing against the arid atmospheric pressure. Shattering the calcium shell, the chicks emerge precocial, biologically equipped to walk the savanna within minutes. The ostrich chicks face their first physical challenge, learning to walk. Every clumsy stumble builds vital muscle memory, conditioning their legs for the constant locomotion required to survive the savanna. Parallel to this, an apex weapon reactivates. Once basic equilibrium is established, the chicks shift their focus to sensory processing. Their expanding visual field begins mapping the terrain, analyzing spatial dimensions and ground textures. Once basic equilibrium is established, the chicks shift their focus to sensory processing. Their expanding visual field begins mapping the terrain, analyzing spatial dimensions and ground textures. The mother functions as a mobile biological shield. Through low-frequency acoustic signals, she constantly calibrates her offspring's spatial awareness against surrounding threats. Transitioning to ambush mode, the lioness employs pure acoustic stealth. Shock-absorbing paw pads mute her approach, while her pigmentation perfectly dissolves into the optical spectrum of the dry grass. Stalking relies on geometric precision. The lioness systematically exploits topographical blind spots to close the distance without triggering the prey's visual radar. The physiological equation reaches critical mass. The lioness must breach the 30-meter strike radius before the mother's threat detection network registers the anomaly. The stealth perimeter collapses. The lioness detonates her fast-twitch muscle reserves, unleashing an explosive burst of anaerobic power to reach maximum velocity in mere seconds. The chick's newly mapped neural pathways instantly switch to survival mode. It executes erratic, sharp-angle evasions, forcing the much heavier predator to constantly recalculate her intercept trajectory and bleed vital momentum. This chase is a lethal biological countdown. Built for explosive sprints, the lioness rapidly overheats. She must strike within seconds, or thermal exhaustion will completely shut down her muscles. Triggered by acute acoustic distress signals, the mother intercepts. Reaching bipedal speeds of 70 kilometers per hour, she weaponizes her massive kinetic energy, instantly severing the predator's strike trajectory. The ostrich flock surges forward at high velocity, weaponizing their collective kinetic energy to violently swarm the outmatched lioness. The predator-prey dynamic violently inverts. An adult ostrich delivers a forward kick with devastating biomechanical efficiency, packing enough blunt force trauma and shearing power from its claws to permanently cripple a large feline. The predatory threat neutralized, the flock's elevated adrenaline levels rapidly baseline. The mother immediately reconnects with her chicks, employing tactile stimulation to assess their physical integrity and stabilize their physiological stress. As the solar gradient drops, the savanna transitions into its nocturnal thermal regime. The chicks have successfully executed their primary biological directive for the day, surviving the apex crucible of the open plains.